Welcome to the 28th of October 2021. Brisk winds and sunny today. Best day coming up is tomorrow. It's still going to be windy today, but the sun will be out. Northwest winds aloft will still make the wind blow pretty good, but at least the sun will be out and conditions should be dry today. And boy, I tell you, tomorrow is play hooky day. Going to be a beautiful day all across Wyoming, Montana, Colorado, western Nebraska, the Dakotas, across portions of western Kansas, back into Idaho, Utah. Nice weather. It's just going to be very, very brief. Cold air starts to move by Saturday in some areas. It's going to start to get cold in Montana, the western areas of the Dakotas and northern Wyoming by the day Saturday. And Halloween for all areas will be colder, with some areas of rain and snow developing. The details of the extent and the snow is still a little sketchy. We still have some disagreement in the long-range modeling on how much cold air, in terms of the extent and the intensity of the cold air, as well as the snow. It is going to get colder. It is going to rain and snow, but the devil is in the details now, and hopefully we'll have a better idea of that. Certainly for trick-or-treaters, anybody traveling on Halloween or the day after, you're going to need to watch the weather as we get to the weekend and early next week. Also, we have an updated drought monitor for you, and we've got some changes to show you with that. We're still getting some photos in this from Patrice Sutter in Colorado Springs. Wow, a beautiful shot there in the Springs of Pikes Peak and the changing colors down in southern Colorado. But the days are numbered that we're going to see these leaves with this changing weather as we head into November. Today's satellite imagery shows what was that California storm just a few days ago. Now over Missouri, you can see the spin here and the counterclockwise kind of comma shape of that system. That's why the northwest winds coming in behind it are still really stout today. Also, we had a really big storm batter New England over the last couple of days, and you can see that system now moving out into the Atlantic. As we take a look at the pattern that will be evolving, this is where we are today. Upper level winds aloft from the northwest, strong and gusty with that low that's in over Missouri and Arkansas. And there's that low off the New England coast. But you can see this large, broad area of high pressure that's sliding on in. This is why today and tomorrow we're going to have some pretty good weather coming on in. But up north, we've got the colder air. We've got this upper level energy coming on in. And we have some changing weather conditions that will be taking place up in the Gulf of Alaska, British Columbia, and northwest Canada over the next 72 hours. This is how the temperatures evolve. We showed you these maps yesterday. We'll show you this again today just to kind of highlight where the warm air and the cold air is going to be relative to the day. So this is tomorrow. For tomorrow afternoon, you can see that temperatures are going to be warmer than average. A little wedge of warmth here with that high pressure ridge getting pushed out ahead of the colder air that's coming in out of British Columbia and Alberta. So this is why we're advertising as tomorrow a nice mild day with much less wind. But by Saturday afternoon and evening, the cold front gets to about Cheyenne into Scotts Bluff, and you can see all of Montana and most of central and northern Wyoming and the western Dakotas are getting into that colder air. The cold air is more dense, so it goes to the lowest point of gravity. That's why you see the blue go to orange where it hits the mountains here along the Continental Divide. Not quite deep enough yet to get over the divide. So western slopes of Colorado and Wyoming won't see the cold during the day Saturday, but it will ooze in from the north during the day Saturday elsewhere. By Sunday afternoon, the pattern becomes much more amplified with this ridge moving well up into the northwest territories of Canada and the Yukon, driving cold air up there south. So a big amplification is what we call it of the jet stream, where you get these big dips and these big swings. So what will happen is the cold air moves, and once it starts moving, it's hard to stop. And this is by Sunday afternoon. So this is really right around sundown, close to sundown. For trick-or-treaters, you're looking at temperatures that are going to be colder. There's going to be some areas of rain and snow showers developing as that cold air pours in along and east of the Continental Divide. And if we were to look at the precipitation potential, you can see as the storm hits the Pacific Northwest and western Canada, there's going to be some areas of rain and snow again in parts of northern California and the Pacific Northwest. But we also have, along the cold air boundary, where we have some upper level energy and upslope, There's going to be developing areas of rain and snow. You see this blue line? This is going to be an axis of moisture developing Saturday night, Sunday into Monday and Tuesday along the colder air boundary. So that has the potential to bring rain and snow to parts of Wyoming, Utah, parts of Colorado, Nebraska, and maybe even parts of western areas of Kansas. And you can see this is by next Tuesday evening. We see areas of snow possibly accumulating. We have a little bit of a concentration of heavier snow over the mountains of southern Wyoming and northern Colorado, where that moisture gets focused in a little bit better. The latest drought monitor, this is the new update that just came in early today. And you can still see we got a lot of red in the western United States, despite the fact that parts of California got 1.5 feet of rain, many areas 1 foot of rain. We still are in strong to extreme drought conditions across parts of the Intermountain West here. However, we have seen some improvement. If we were to compare this map to just a few months ago, this map actually looks better, but there's a lot of drought that has a lot of ways to go before we get rid of it. If we were to look, though, at the changes in drought conditions, good news and bad news. For these areas in the green, in Wyoming and western Colorado, that shows the drought conditions have improved. The wet weather that we've had in October has shown improvement in these parts of Wyoming and western Colorado. The yellow shows where drought conditions have worsened a little bit, and that's certainly an area here in southern Colorado. If you were to look along the west coast and look in other areas, we've got some green. The big storm that hit California has improved conditions there, as well as in portions of Idaho, eastern Washington state, and 2 areas here in Montana have seen some improvement, while these 2 small areas have had a bit of a deficit over the last week or so. This is certainly good news, and we do feel confident that there's more help on the way. This is a forecast map for the 10th of November. That's when we think the next wave of colder, wet weather will move into the West Coast and eventually into the Rockies. So we're likely going to have more fall precipitation in the long term. And while you're not going to end a drought in the fall, you're just not. Certainly these wet fall storms are helping and not hurting. And this is a lot different than we had in the fall of 2020. Have yourself a great Thursday. We'll have more detail on your Halloween weekend forecast tomorrow.